All right, everybody, welcome to the video for lesson number 4 on angles that are inscribed in circles. So inscribed angles, remember, are half of the length of the arc, and central angles are equal to the same thing as the arc. So let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 has 4 different questions within it, each one kind of using the same idea. So it says angle D in this first part is 25. Which means arc BC is going to be 50. Why? Because the arc is double the length of the angle. Angle BAC, which is angle X, which we're looking for, is a central angle. If you notice, it's created by two radii. Therefore, angle X is 50 degrees. For part B, they want us also to find angle X, and they start by telling us that angle B is 32. If angle B is 32, I know CD's arc is going to be 64. I know that because the arc is double the inscribed angle. I also know that angle CAD is central to that same arc, so this angle is 64. Now, the other thing that's interesting is this triangle ACD, is isosceles. So if I take 180 minus 64, that gives me 116, which if I divide evenly over the two smaller angles, each one becomes 58. So for part B, X is 58 degrees. For part C, it says angle D is 15. Even though this is created by a diameter, this angle D is still inscribed, meaning arc BC is 30, meaning angle BAC is 30. I also know that if this angle 15 is a base angle of an isosceles triangle, because angle ADC is isosceles again, I know angle X is also 15. I can further prove that by saying that these two make 150, isosceles again, the whole thing. So everything kind of works together here. For part D, it says angle D is 19, which means arc BC is going to be 38, because it's an inscribed angle, and inscribed angles are half of the arc, which means in triangle ABC, angle A is also 38. It's also isosceles. So if I do 180 minus 38, that gives me 142, which I can separate over two equal angles to make each one 71. So I can say X equals 71 degrees. The last part here asks us to explain why that triangle ABC, which I'll highlight here in red, why is ABC isosceles? Why were we able to say all of that stuff that it's isosceles? And the reason why is because AB is congruent to AC because they are the radius of the circle. On the next page, we have a couple multiple choice questions. So the first one says that arc PRQ is 308. So the entire arc in this direction is 308. Meaning the remaining arc, just P to Q, is going to be 360 minus 308, which is 52 degrees. Which means angle PMQ is 52 degrees, and angle PRQ is 26 degrees. They want PRQ, the inscribed angle, so we're talking here about choice 1. Number 3 gives us angle CAB. Notice it's inscribed. AC is a chord, AB is the diameter, which is just a special chord. So then this becomes an angle of 64. So if we know that arc is 64, I see that AB is the diameter, so that cuts the circle in half. So if I do 180 minus 64, that tells me that arc AC is 116. The next one gives us a circle which is labeled K. It says the measure of NPL is twice the measure of NL. Which of the following is the measure of angle NML? So one of the things that we understand here is that this bigger arc from N to P to L is twice of N to L. So if you look at the two arcs together, they make up the entire circle. So if I make this one 2x and this arc from L to N just x, I know that the two angles or two arcs together make 360. If we do some algebra, I can then figure out that the value of x is 120, meaning this arc is really 240 and this arc is really 120. Now, why is that important? Well, angle NML, which they're looking for, is an inscribed angle to the arc of 240. So we know inscribed angles are half of the arc, so half of 240 is 120. Number 5 kind of uses a lot of different things that we learned. So it says that arc BC is 58, arc DE is 142, and it tells us that BC is parallel to DE. Now remember, parallel lines create congruent arcs. So that means this arc is the same as this arc. So if we were to take 360, which represents the whole circle, subtract the two arcs that I know, the 58 and the 142, I know these two arcs, CE and BD, together make 160. So that means each one must be 80 because they're the same. It then wants us to find angle CFE. CFE is an inscribed angle. It's inscribed to an arc of 80, so inscribed angles are half of the arc, so angle CFE is 40 degrees. Hopefully this video helps. Keep working on your weekly assignment due on Friday.